I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and share my screen, Jay.
Okay. We're good to go. All right. Marla gave us a script, which Lauren and I are going to be like, we'll see how long that lasts, but we'll at least attempt to start with this. So we're excited to be here for social media branding, storytelling, and tech tips. And it won't take you long to figure out which of those three I will be talking about. We definitely, we've got plenty of time at the end of this. We want to hear personal experiences and do questions and Q&A and have all kind of fun with that. So, Lauren, any thoughts here as we kick off?
Well, my first thought is, since you're my favorite geek, can you share your screen with the presentation? Because I'm not set up to do it.
Just a second. Let me see.
Okay, I just texted you. I'm sorry.
No, I've got it right here.
This is just sort of like how our forum goes. Like Jay takes care of us.
I'm like the AV club.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, hey, Wade. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Jay.
Hey, I can't get my video to work because I was doing something else with it. So you'll just have to see my photo.
We'll look at your nice professional photo.
Yeah.
So Forum 4 is showing up today. So the last 15 minutes, we really want you all to connect with each other. So hang around. So we'll do about 30 minutes of talking, and then we'll do 15 minutes to Q&A. And then the last 15 minutes, you're going to be put into small groups where you can really talk about how this applies to your business. And I personally, that's where I get the most out of these things. Not necessarily the speakers. It's really connecting with the other entrepreneurs on how you're going to and how you are integrating this into your business. Jay, I'll give a little bit of your background, your bio before we get going. So I've got his, formal bio in front of me, which I'll read, but I'm going to give a little off the cuff one. And that is, whenever I have a need for anything tech, I call Jay. So he has come in and spoke to my team. I run Reed Public Relations, a full service PR and marketing agency. And we do social for our clients, but we don't do a lot of the technical side of things. So I bring in someone like Jay or Jay's team. So Jay spoke to my team recently, a few weeks ago, and everybody was just blown away. He is this wealth of knowledge. And today what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to you about content and what you need to know to put together a social media campaign. And then Jay's going to give you some really actionable tips of things you can do today, simple things that you can do on your own, but you just might not know about, to make your social campaigns that much stronger. So before we get going, let me give you a little bit of Jay's background. Besides being our wonderful forum moderator, Jay is the Chief Operating Officer at Blueprint Inc., better known as the HomeLifeStyleBlueprint.com, and better known as Liza Graves' husband. So that might be how you know Jay. Kidding with you, Jay. He's got more than 20 years experience in technology management, software development, strategic biz dev, high growth startup companies, and he manages financial, technical, and process management in support of small businesses around the Southeast. Previously, he was co-founder and product leader for SSB, where he led the development of the Central Intelligence Customer Data Management Platform with clients including the NFL, NBC Sports, NASCAR, the SEC, and numerous other professional sports teams and major universities. Jay serves on the EO board. He is a graduate of Vanderbilt University. And when not with family or working with clients, he's usually found spending time with family and tinkering with pretty much anything mechanical or electronic. I'm pretty sure he's the one who brought a droid to our last retreat. So yeah, and this is not in his bio, but he's learning to fly planes. So Jay is just a Renaissance man here.
I think it's a drone, not a droid, but we'll go droid. With it.
See, I'm not the tech person. I said droid.
All right, so I'm gonna reciprocate here and do Lauren's bio because when I'm done with this, I'll give you the tip tip of the day. Lauren is founder and president of Read PR, a longstanding member of the Public Relations Society of America, serving as president of the Nashville chapter in 2017. She is a member of the Women's Presidents Organization and serves on the EO board. She has been named to the Nashville Business Journal's 40 Under 40, receiving a Nashville Emerging Leader Award and NBJ's Most Admired list of CEOs. Lauren would say her crowning achievement is establishing Read PR's Be the Good program, for which the company uses a portion of their annual revenue to provide funding for volunteers to go on service trips at home. And as we talk about social media, Lauren and I are both informed together, but we also, when we deal with clients that think that, oh goodness, social media is the silver bullet, and all I have to do is these few technical things, and all of a sudden my business will magically explode. We point them to Read PR and say, you really have to think about the content. And with that, I'm gonna move slides for Lauren, because if there's anything that you can take away from this today, every tech tip in the world doesn't work unless you have a strong brand and clean, clear content that solves a problem for your reader.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay. So I guess you'll run my slides for me since, thanks. So again, what we're going to cover today is there's really 3 keys to developing your successful social media presence. And it's the story, and then it's your proper execution. How do you know it's working? It's data tracking, and it's community monitoring and management. And a lot of clients and people, and and this is common in like an EO size business. So most of my clients are more enterprise. But, we're talking to, let's say, the typical EO, business. You're maybe 30 plus employees. You're not 20,000 employees. And what I see a lot is a lot of throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. And what really has to happen is you have to talk about your brand first and your message before even deciding to be on social. Jay, if you want to pop over to the next slide. So the very first step before establishing a social presence, and I realize as we're talking today, most of you probably already have a social presence, and that's great. But as we talk through this, let's pretend you don't. Let's pretend you're starting from scratch, because what you can do is take your existing presence and apply these tools. It's learning your brand. It's learning who you are. You can't go out to the world and give them your message if you don't know what your message is. So as Jay said, before you amplify, all the tools in the world to amplify and track don't matter if you're not saying something that resonates. And to say something that resonates to your clients or customers, you have to know who you are. So it's kind of like in life first, right? Do the internal work first so you can relate to other people. Jay, you wanna? Thank you. So what we're gonna talk about today is really playing the long game. And I'm gonna give you just like a real life example of how my company does this. And then I have a worksheet to send to you guys. So if you want it, just shoot me an email. I'll put my email address in the chat, or if Jay can do it while I'm talking right now, send me an email. I have a worksheet that really says all of this. So you can actually then go through it with your team, go through it with yourself. I'll get that to you next week. I'm actually, I'm in Orange Beach, Alabama for our company annual agency retreat. So yeah, let's get started. Let's everyone just take a moment and really define how you want your audience to think about your brand and your company in the long run, okay? So we're sitting here in 2021. In 2026, what do you want your employees to be saying about you? What do you want your stakeholders, your customers to be saying about you? And those answers, that answer right there needs to be guiding what you're doing today. And I'm going to walk through this process. So the first step is consider your stakeholders. Who is impacted by your communications? Some examples are typically employees, vendors, partners. If you have a board, your consumers, your customers, partner organizations, maybe you cross promote with. But so when you do this exercise, you're going to spend a good amount of time. And I love to get feedback from all levels, because frontline employees might see someone who's impacted in a way that we don't at the top. So you got to write down before it's not as simple as just, hey, let's get on Facebook, right? There has to be a strategy behind it. So we're not even going to talk about channels yet until we've defined who is everyone impacted by our company. So you're going to write all that out. And then the next step is, how do we want them to think about us 5 years from now? So Jay, if you want to flip to the next slide, please. So once you've written out all your stakeholders, where do they get their information, right? So for example, if I'm, prospective employees is a big stakeholder of mine, and we have a strong entry-level program. So we work closely with PR and marketing departments and local colleges. So that's one of my very important stakeholders. But then I also look at my core client, who tends to be between age 35 and 55 too. So two equally important stakeholders. Well, they are not going to get their information in the same place, right? Most likely. So once you've written out all your stakeholders, you're going to really look at, what do they look like? What's their age range? Where do they get their information typically? So guys, 90% of your work in social media is done before you even write the post. Like, writing the content is going to come easily once you know who you are, who you're targeting, and what you need to say. So at this point, you've got your stakeholders written out. You're then going to set 3 to 5 filters that are going to serve as a litmus test to run through all your communications. And when doing this, you really keep your core values and mission as a company top of mind. So what I'm going to do when we get to the next slide is I'm just going to give you like a real life example of how we do this within my company. And the example I'm about to show you is, we did this in March 2020. We personally, our agency lost 40% of our revenue in about 2 weeks, clients pausing. We no longer needed to put butts in seats in restaurants and heads in beds and get people to water parks. So in March of 2020, so we sat down and we're like, okay, we need to do this. So you can do this situationally as well. Like right now, I imagine we're all looking at just doing this for our organization, but the example I'm going to give you is situational. We said, okay, we've done this for our organization. We're doing this for the pandemic to make sure all of our communications are aligned with who we are. So Jay, if you want to flip to the next slide. So my business partner and I sat down and we looked at all of our stakeholders, and these are the brand filters we came up with. And now these are different from what we actually post on social. So keep that in mind. These are just the filters you're going to take your social posts and cross-check against to make sure you're staying true to who you are and who you want to be as an organization. So ours were, we reassure our clients, we provide guidance in times of growth and instability. Our commitment to excellence is constant and turnkey. We always continue our services with minimal disruption. That part was relevant because, we're transitioning to work from home. Our clients are transitioning to that. And we all lived it. March 2020 was just constant disruption, but we needed to be the grounding force for our clients. We take care of our employees because, again, my employees are my number one most valuable asset. I'm not selling widgets I'm creating in a factory. I'm selling brain power and time. And I only have a finite amount of that. So if I don't have my employees, I don't have a business. So they will always be my number one audience. We take care of our employees. We're fair, humane, and kind, and we act with compassion at all times. And then we're thought leaders and resources in our industry, sharing creative solutions based on our expertise. So these are the 4 brand filters we set. And, we did them for the pandemic, but we've actually kept them because they feel relevant in all times, good times and bad. So next slide, Jay. And we cross-checked them with our core values. You can go on to the next slide. So we have these brand filters, right? And I'm sure you guys are like, okay, we haven't even gotten to what do I post on Instagram yet. So at this point, we've got our brand filters. We've got our stakeholders, so we know who we're trying to reach. We've done the research on where they get their information, what their demographics are, what they like to hear. Because again, social media is so much more than, hey, I'm going to hire a social media intern and have them set up a Facebook or a TikTok, right? So all of this pre-work before we even log in to a social account. So how do you use them? Next slide, please. So content is really, it's king. So you have these filters, and now this is what you're going to write your content on. And you will be surprised at how easily it can come when you have taken the time. And yes, it's sounding like a lot of work right now, but I'll tell you, we walk most of our clients through this in a one-day process, a one-day planning session. And then they really have their foundation for social campaign and what to say and what to do. So really, what is your message? What do you have to say that's appealing to people, right? We all get inundated with sales pitches all the time, and we don't want that, right? I personally, I don't know if it's a me thing, I hate being sold to. What I love is when someone authentically is like, hey, this is what I do. So really leading with empathy and authenticity, but like thought leadership. The content people are drawn to, myself included, it's ones that help me do better at whatever the topic is that I'm searching for. It's someone who tells me something actionable, how I can do it better, how I can solve a problem, or something interesting and engaging. You see a lot of social campaigns where it's like, happy 4th of July, right? Like you log into Facebook on 4th of July or Instagram, and every brand is like, happy 4th of July. And there might be a really cute graphic with a flag or fireworks and all of that. And our rule of thumb is, if you don't have something really interesting to say, and then, sorry, Jay, if you can slide back to what the brand filters are. One more. Okay. So let's just take that example, happy 4th of July post. Does that align with these? Is anything about that post say we reassure our clients we have a commitment to excellence? No, it's almost like it would feel like we just want our voices to be heard, but we don't really know what we're saying or why we're saying it, right? So that is how I want you all to use these brand filters. Any piece of content that is going to go out, and we're talking social today, but I will tell you these brand filters, they're laminated, they're on my desk. And before I even send a company-wide email, I cross-check it. I look at it. Now, I don't have to, it's more intuitive now than when we first started doing this, but it's a good reminder of, oh, is what I'm saying aligning with this? Because this is when I took the time to say how I want to be perceived 5 years from now, what I want people to say about our company. So is this email I'm shooting off to the team real quick because I'm frustrated that nobody has cleaned the kitchen aligning with this? So for me, it's a really good gut check. So again, all of your communications, but we're talking social today. So if my team, and this is true story, none of them are on here today, but they would tell you, they will come to me with posts, and I will pull this out and say, what does us telling the world happy 4th of July do? Or are we wasting space on people's wall? Because you don't want to be the person who it's just your content is boring and then you get unfollowed. So it's all about quality versus quantity. And yes, there are some things with quantity you need to do in terms of regular posting and putting dollars behind it. But the most important thing is the quality of what you're saying. Okay, Jay, you can skip back ahead to the slide we were on. Okay, go back one more. So really, just to recap before I pass it over to the real data expert here, is the channel doesn't matter if your messaging isn't right. And the channel can't be determined until you have your messaging, because otherwise, how do you know where these people are, right? It's not enough to be on TikTok just because you hear TikTok is the new thing. You really need to sit down and look at who you're trying to reach, what you're trying to say to them, and what you want them to do before you develop any of your content. Really lean into your core values as you do this. Look at your long-term vision, keep that top of mind. And above all, like, just be a resource. And I feel like that should come really naturally to EO, because we're all so used to sitting in forum together and experience sharing and problem solving. So I like to, take that mindset with my social media campaigns. It's okay. How am I sharing experience? How am I leaving someone better than I found them? And I know it seems like a lot for just a Facebook post, right? But if you just take the time to line this up on the front end, your social will be stronger, your content will be stronger. And then that's when Jay comes in and tells you how to amplify it.
All right, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because as I said at the beginning part of this, if the message is wrong, if the content is bad, absolutely none of the rest of it matters. It's so critical. There are no technical shortcuts for glory in any of this digital marketing game. With that said, the second most important thing is, even if you do it poorly, do it consistently. There's 1,000 jokes that we can all make about that, but by all means, get a calendar. It doesn't, Lauren put an example of this. Make a grid, do it by channel, do it by date, and be like clockwork. And it requires some thought, and have a backup plan. You may not have inspiration or something that can be timely. Have something that you can some evergreen content you can fill in. You look a quarter or a year out ahead. You know where your key events for your company are, holidays where you can have something to say, as Lauren said, things around conferences. There are other interesting things that fit for your business, but if you don't plan it, then your life is running you. You're not running your life. And it's the same with this. So that's content number one. Consistency is number two. And then you get into the nerd stuff. And then I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. The number one thing we see people not doing is just not having your site, as the real nerds would say, it's not instrumented correctly. And there are, we use a variety of different tools, and I've been doing this for both small business and big business. These things are important, but they're also not that difficult to solve. And if anybody wants it, happy to run their site through a couple different tools we use, and it'll give you some very nice, here's your grade, 1 through 100 scores. And, social networks also provide legitimacy to your site. And if you connect via the way Google likes to see it, with the schema on the site, with the social networks, it will help a lot. Google Analytics, Google's running the world. We're just playing in it. Google Analytics really drives Google Ads. And if you're a local business with bricks and mortar, there's just about nothing more important these days than Google My Business, which is how Google plans to finally put a boot on Yelp and really end up controlling the mapping of the world. The last part about this is, and I can show some examples of this, is what's called custom audiences. Custom audiences if there is a silver bullet of social media, it's custom audiences. And the long and the short of it is, yes, you can target people that have already been to your website, but you can take your email list and you can upload it into Facebook is the easiest one to use. And then you can create a Facebook campaign that will only target people that are on your email list. It is, instead of just throwing stuff out there and letting Facebook pick who they're going to market to, for Facebook, Instagram, or any of the other Facebook ecosystems, if you upload your email list and you have more than 500 on the list, you will be able to target your customers or your prospects. And that is, it is almost as powerful as just doing email marketing on its own. I'm going to actually stop sharing on this right now, and I'm going to show a couple of examples of our site, which is, this would be statistics for styleblueprint.com. And let's go to audience and overview just to give a little example of this. This is the last week. We've had 87,000 users. 76 of those are new, and let's use a little bit of this data to talk about how you might pick which social channels that you're going to work on. So I would go down to demographics of this and pull up the styleblueprint.com reader, and you'll see that it's pretty much 25 and up, 25 to 64. So Lauren, you may comment on this. TikTok's not that important to Style Blueprint. And one, I'm getting old and I don't understand it. And I certainly don't understand Snapchat. My kids do all this shit on it. I have no clue what it is. And you can also look at this, it's 65% female. It's Twitter is not very important to this audience. Twitter is a much more important channel if it's highly male. This is also direct to consumer. This would not be where we would spend much time on LinkedIn, as we're not targeting business professionals. So there's lots of things that you can learn within Google Analytics about your own audience to figure out which channel you're going to be going into. Let me do this one real quick. This is our sources of traffic to Style Blueprint. 50% of our traffic comes from people searching on Google through organic keywords, which I might add that we don't pay for. We've spent a lot of time working on organic search engine work. Our next biggest channel is email, and then we come to social, which, so we pay a lot of attention to social here at Style Blueprint, but we also recognize that's not where we get the bulk of our traffic. So we proportionally spend the right amount of time for that channel. And then within social, it's the channels where we get things are Facebook and Pinterest. And that's primarily around our audience. So correspondingly, Instagram is kind of its own thing. It doesn't generate traffic, but it certainly does generate, it has its own set of statistics that we keep. But for our work here, we spend the bulk of the time on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. And this is all just data that's available, that's likely sitting within your Google Analytics, whether you're B2B or B2C. There are also, and I'll also give an example, and I know we're at time here. These are called custom audiences. And we actually, a quick story, Facebook had this custom audience program to where you could upload your email list and you can create an audience. And it used to be there was no lower limit on it, and they would tell you exactly what you did. So there was a very famous blog post where a guy uploaded his roommate's email address. So he had a custom audience of 1. And then proceeded to run ads all about what was going on in this guy's life. Like, are you feeling constipated? And, it's a shame your cat died. Here's information on cat funerals. I mean, and it just totally freaked this guy out. It was really funny, at which point Facebook locked down lots of information on what you could do here and minimum audience size. But I do know this is about a custom audience of about 80,000 people, and we can target Facebook ads directly to our email subscribers. It's a wonderfully useful tool. If you do anything B2C, this is great. By the way, LinkedIn offers the same thing. You can upload your CRM system to LinkedIn. you'll be able to target LinkedIn ads directly to your customers or prospects, far more cost effective than running just across the board LinkedIn ads. So I'm trying to be cognizant of time here. Lauren, did we hit most of the things that we needed to hit?
I think so. And one thing, when Jay was showing the Google Analytics and everything, a lot of times our clients come to us and like he said, like you probably have this information already there, but it might not be set up correctly. And we've had to send clients over to Jay and Blueprint because they set it up on their own and they weren't able to get like the right information or the right breakdowns. So I definitely recommend taking a look inside your Google Analytics and making sure that everything is up to par.
I will say that we work with a lot of small business clients, and the biggest, most painful thing that we do is getting all this stuff set up correctly when we start working with them. I mean, we've had to help them write legal letters to Facebook to get control of their pages again. I mean, there's, somebody in the company set up 6 different versions of their business on Google for Google My Business, and we have to figure out how to figure out which one's real. And I mean, it really is the curse of the age. There's so many of these different channels and logins and plugins, just keeping track of all this stuff. I think my next business is going to be, how do you keep track of all of these things? Because it is a horrid pain to get your business set up correctly to work in digital marketing.
And it's always changing. When Jay came and spoke to our team, he talked about some of the changes Google is making in early 2022. And these are things that the average business owner just typically doesn't know, or if they hear about it, they don't know how to apply it. So definitely, keeping in touch with companies like Jay's and just like keeping tabs on things like that, because unfortunately it's always evolving and it's always changing. So whereas, like with the messaging, we can set that up and be pretty good about it. The technical side of it, you always have to watch it.
But I'll go back. The technical side, you can be perfect on the technical side. You got a bad message, doesn't matter. And it's, we've spent, at Style Blueprint, we spent 5 years working on search engine ranking work, and it's really hard. It only works because people like and link to our content. And Google can make you move up and move down. And right now they're in that down mode, and I hate them, but later they'll go back up because, good content will win in the end.
Yeah. Okay. Should we move into questions? And you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat if you'd like.
Or are we going to get kicked into breakout rooms?
We have some questions.
Love to hear what questions you'll have.
Jay, I am mesmerized that you all were so high on Pinterest and so low on Instagram. I mean, I get it that Instagram's kind of more awareness and reinforcement and that.
That's a great point. Instagram doesn't allow direct links unless you swipe up on a story.
Yeah.
So you're not good. You'll never show high on Instagram. Instagram has built their own ecosystem so that you have to kind of play within Instagram's world. It won't drive that much traffic externally. For the last week that we got 385 direct links, we're thrilled. And I mean, that's a big number for us, because that means somebody actually took the time to click on one of the few ways to get out of their walled garden.
Something really cool about Style Blueprint, and when you're considering partnering with online publications, is like Jay said, I mean, you saw the stats. People are finding them by searching for keywords, not necessarily going to Style Blueprint's website. So if I have a client, that is a wedding venue, and I know that they can put out content on wedding venues and they have such good rankings, it's another way to get in front of audiences. So I think that's really cool. Like, Jay, aren't you guys like ranked #1 for tacos or something? Like, how do
it's funny. We're the #1 ranked website in the world for how to feed a crowd with a taco bar. I have no clue how the hell that article got written, but it was written like 5 years ago, and it consistently tops the charts of people, going to that. But it's, there are a couple different companies out there that rank websites, and they've come up with a 0 to 100 scale, where 100 is Google and Wikipedia, and 0 is a website that just got stood up. We're about a 75, which is we're super, super happy with. And that happens. And Dan Cook just said, any SEO advice? SEO comes from the number of people that are linking to you. Those are the signals that Google, the quality and quantity of people that link to your content is where good SEO rankings come from. As a publication, we have done a lot of work to make our content very easy to rank for. There are some really wonderful tools that are out there. One is a strange sound. It's called ahrefs.com. It's a great tool that will kind of walk you through a lot of the technical and tactical things that you need to do to be in the game with SEO. SEO is its own. I mean, we could spend hours on SEO. My number one piece of advice for SEO is if you don't have much content, don't worry about it. If you do have a lot of content, hire a professional that does this, because it is worth the money. We did that. We invested a fair amount of money, 5 years ago, and have constantly worked through this, and it is paid off spectacularly for us. I think the Ahrefs tool says that our organic content, we would have to pay about $50,000 a month to get that content if we bought Google keywords to get it. So but that took years, and it's a slow grind. And if you have the content, I highly recommend starting, because there's no better time to start than now.
Let's see. Yeah, Robin, LinkedIn. So Robin, before I let Jay talk technical there, it's the same process, knowing your message, what you have to say, and knowing that the people on LinkedIn, they're there for a different reason than what people are going to Facebook or Instagram for. So my biggest kind of takeaway there, without like getting into all, the nuances of LinkedIn, is we can't just post the same thing on every outlet. And that happens a lot. Someone will post the same thing they post on their Instagram channel on LinkedIn, not realizing, or just realizing, but not thinking it matters. People go there for something different. You typically don't just scroll LinkedIn when you're sitting in your doctor's office, right? Like, you go to LinkedIn for different reasons. So the content should reflect that. And Jay, any technical advice for LinkedIn? I know they do the custom audiences, right?
Yeah, they do, and it's hidden within their system. They allow you to upload your CRM system into LinkedIn, as well as tagging your website, so that you can build an audience of people that have been to your website, or you can exclude people that have been to your website. LinkedIn advertising is very expensive right now, but when you have a niche audience for B2B, it works wonderfully. Look in LinkedIn, the LinkedIn Ad Manager. There's some tools where you can either upload a list of companies, upload email addresses, and tag your website. And if LinkedIn is a big channel for you, a lot of people haven't bothered to do those things, and you can save a lot of money with advertising that way.
Thank you so much.
And I'll share a quick personal experience on LinkedIn. I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, March 2020, we lost a lot of clients, consumer-facing clients who didn't have a need for us with the lockdowns. So we actually turned to LinkedIn, and I didn't do any promotion or anything. But what we did, and this goes to, we had set our brand filters and we got our message right. So by working through the brand filter and stakeholder identification process, we determined senior living would be who we should target right now. They were someone who needed us. And I sat down one night for about 5 hours, and I just LinkedIn messaged So there is nothing technical about this. I just sent them a message with a really strong, hey, here's what I'm seeing going on within your industry. If you ever want to brainstorm or talk, let me know. Those 4 or 5 hours that night resulted in almost $400,000 worth of business and us having our best year yet. And it all goes back to the message.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
well, and I've noticed LinkedIn is getting a little more personal these days, and it sometimes it feels a little more Facebook-ish than it used to be, just a business channel, which is kind of disappointing, but
yeah, and I think a lot of that is people, to be honest, it's laziness. It's not customizing your message for each channel.
Yeah, got it.
Even though Style Blueprint is known on Twitter and a lot of our clients, we don't actually recommend Twitter as a channel for being more women focused. I will say one of the best accounts on the internet is the Best of Next Door on Twitter, because it takes all the people that use the neighborhood next door app as dating sites and take screenshots. And it's there should be something like that for inappropriate use of LinkedIn as well.
There really should.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions before we go to breakout sessions? Did we, Samantha Thomas had a question. Jay, will you pop the name of the SEO website you recommended in there?
And for anybody that wants it, if they want to shoot me an email, and I'll put my email address in there too, I'm happy to run their website through one of the tools that we use that just gives the basic score along with some technical things that you can fix. And, you know, we certainly don't have to do it. I can just provide the report back to you, and it's anybody, any of your web folks can do it. And a lot of them are quick and easy things that will improve your rankings, not magically, but they're all things that should be done. It's a great little tool called WooRank. And when, you know, we have an unlimited subscription to it. So happy to provide that to anybody.
I can speak to that as a testament. Jay has done that for some of our clients, and it gives us some down and dirty info of what we need to change. Yeah. So I always joke, Jay makes us look so much smarter than we are. So Samira put a link in the chat for a